Now let's talk about some of the interesting companies that are being built in this space. My personal favorite in terms of how they're branding it, how they're doing content marketing around this, the founder being out there talking about healthy food is the whole truth. I'm
Yeah.
obsessed. I'm obsessed not just with their products. I like their products and I've tried most of their products, but I'm obsessed with how they are executing. I think this is one of the best execution plays that I've seen using content, using building a D2C brand. They've raised about $5 million from Sequoia. 2021, their turnover was around 5 crores. 1920, the turnover was 78 lakhs. So that's a huge jump already. I'm predicting at least a 3x increase this year. They're going to end the 2021 2022 with 15 crores in turnover because remember 2021 was also hit by pandemic, right? While there was a lot more e-commerce that happened, but it was at the end of the day hit by a pandemic.
So that did I tell you this that I we had a connect with the Whole Truth Foods founder, and I just did not reach out. I just got lazy. Uh,
I can't believe this. I can't believe this. But I'm going to get him on the
uh,
podcast. I'm 100% going to get him on the podcast. That's going to
but
happen
but
for sure.
also but also one more thing is what I've heard is that they're also trying to get into exports, which I think will do very well for the Whole Truth Foods because this kind of product I think will do very well in the export market with this kind of marketing as well.
Yeah, so I think the only challenge when it comes to healthy snack is the preservation of it, right? A lot of
Mm.
the snacks that we eat are unhealthy because of the preservatives that go into it to increase the shelf life from, 1 month to 6 months to 1 year to whatnot. And the reason why that's important is because perishables are a very, very hard business to deal with. You have this entire supply chain that takes the inventory to the end consumer, to the retail chains, and if those don't sell, you have to get it back. You have to, do recycling, and you have to do a bunch of different things. So perishable is the only reason why I think exports is slightly tricky, but I'm absolutely on board with the idea that a lot of these young D2C brands are going to export to Middle East, are going to export to Southeast Asia, probably Europe if you can get the taste preferences right and stuff like that.
But dude, you know what Vadham Teas, right?
Yeah.
Vadham Teas is one of the D2C success stories in India, and they're doing 90% exports. And I actually spoke to another founder of a very young company. I can't remember what the name of the company was. They were basically making dehydrated fruits, right?
Yeah.
And they were focused entirely on an export strategy. But I
Yeah.
guess dehydrated fruits doesn't have a shelf life, so it doesn't
Exactly.
matter.
Longer shelf life for sure.
Yeah.
There are companies that are in the similar segment. They're using the combination of nuts and good kind of sugar or dates and jaggery, and coming up with snack bars and coming up with nutty trail mixes and stuff like that. We've had one of them on another podcast that we did with Ghana. DRB Foods Nutty Gritties, right? I think they're doing 50-70 crores in turnovers just selling a combination of different well packaged, good branded nuts and trail mixes, right? So that's a huge industry in itself.
Dude, I would say even Soulful Foods would come under the healthy foods category. That was an episode we did about 6 months ago, 9 months ago.
Yeah.
Uh, that would also come under there. Where are you going next to that? Let's see.
Yeah. I was gonna go to Soulful, but there's Yoga Bar. I think they are sort of the earlier ones that came into this. They've raised about $12 million in funding. They have about 50 crores in turnover from what I could check last year. I think this is going to go significantly higher this year. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm a significant consumer of Yoga Bar. I'm a very significant consumer of Yoga Bar. I have their protein bars like way too much.
There's a customer segmentation that you could potentially do, which is the adult and the kids, right? The kids food segment in India is again proliferated with a bunch of products that are just heavy on sugar, because you can get kids addicted to sugar very easily, right? The Bonvitas of the world, the Horlicks of the world, the Boosts of the world, they are
Milo.
pure sugar. They're just sugar,
Yeah.
right? And the kids love it because it's sugar, right? So there are alternatives that are coming up, thinking about what kind of macronutrients and micronutrients that a kid needs, and can you design good products around it. There's a company called Slurp Farm that makes these mixes for chilas, beetroot chila, and high on protein moong dal chila and stuff like that. There's another company called Gladful that are making protein cookies and a bunch of other things related to protein. These are all sort of early stage companies, seed stage, Series A. Slurp Farm is funded by Fireside. I think they've raised about $10 million. Last year, their revenue was about 6.5 crores. Gladful, I couldn't pick up the numbers because the financials didn't have it, so I'm assuming they're going to file it this year. But the reason why these numbers are important is because if you'll see, all of them are in this 1 to 10, 15, for 20 crore category. If they've been around for 4 5 years, they're probably at the 40 50 crore mark. Very very early stage, given this is a $30 billion market that we're talking about.
Yeah.
um
By the way, can I tell
yeah,
you a funny story?
yeah.
Um, so when I lived in London, I once went to a vegan restaurant with a friend, with a German friend, and I ordered something, and then I on the menu I saw a vegan pancake, and my German friend ordered the vegan pancake, and it came, and you know what it was? It was
Dosa.
chilas.
Oh,
It was
chilas.
chilas. It
Okay.
was literally chilas. And I looked at it and I was like, what the hell? They're charging £10 for basically chilas. And I was just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
But can I guess one of the categories you're going to talk about? Healthy ice cream, or like healthier ice cream in your in your words, right?
yeah.
In the healthier ice creams, there are going to be two major brands. There's going to be Notto, right? Notto, I recently got drinks with the CEO of Notto, and if that's something that people want us to get like the promoters of Notto, that's something that I can try to do. Notto is doing really well, and they've expanded across the country in a lot of different cities. A big challenge for Notto is on the operation side is um, basically the
Cold
cold chain.
storage. Yeah, we've spoken
Exactly.
about this, the cold chain. and
Yeah.
and, and we are in the peak summers right now, and I've heard stories of these kirana shops, and a lot of these people have just stopped stocking any ice creams because
Yeah.
2 hours of power cut and their entire inventory is dead, right? Because
Yeah.
the ice creams can't survive the 2 hours of power cut, and they don't have the generator capabilities and stuff like that. It's also
Yeah.
impacting the medicine segment and the vaccination segment, on the vaccine segment and stuff like that, which is significantly more important than the ice creams that I consume. But the cold chain infrastructure in India is definitely an opportunity in itself. We've done
Yeah.
an episode on that 2 3 episodes ago. I'm going to link that in the show notes as well.
But Noto has raised how much? It's raised about 5 million. I can't remember the number right now. It's raised a couple of
Noto
million.
Noto has raised 1.2 million over 3 rounds,
Okay,
so
yeah.
they're very
And
early
then
stage still.
yeah,
Yeah,
the second company that's raised is Goodfettle, and
yeah.
they've raised an undisclosed amount of money. And the founder of Goodfettle is actually from my school, and we order so much from Goodfettle and Noto um, that my wife has actually become really good friends with the founder of Goodfettle.
Oh.
So if we want to get Goodfettle as well, we can get them on. For people who want to know what to get from them, I love they have these Goodfettle bites. So they're basically ice cream that's covered with chocolate, and they have different flavors. I love the hazelnut flavor, and I think the dark chocolate flavor of these Goodfettle bites. Really, really good.
Okay, just to clarify, none of this is promotion. This entire episode, we are not
Yeah,
getting money from any D2C brand to actually bring their name. This is just from our research, the companies that we found. Basically, I think what Sile spoke about, right? Ice cream is one segment. Chips and these healthier than options of chips and popcorns and a bunch of other things. That's another segment. There we're seeing pop chips. We are seeing baked chips. We are seeing there's a company called To Be Honest that makes veggies converted into chips. They went to Southeast Asia and saw these papaya chips and pineapple chips and jackfruit chips. So they've made beetroot chips, right? So To Be Honest is another company. So there's another segment. There's beverages, which is a segment in itself. We've spoken about non-alcoholic beers and kombuchas and stuff like that. These are all healthier than alternatives. And in an ideal world, you would not consume any processed foods, right? That's what people keep talking about. The longer the shelf life, the shorter your life is going to be. That's a tweet that I've seen. But at the end of the day, these are convenient foods, and people are going to keep consuming them. So think about
yeah,
the segments
and
that you want to go after. And there's peanut butter. The peanut butter story in India is insane. There have been companies with 20, 30, 40 crores in turnover that have just come up in focusing on peanut butter. Pintola is one of the brands that came on Shark Tank as well. And these are unsweetened peanut butters and stuff like that.
so one of my friends, he's building a business out of jackfruit, right? And when he started this, one of the reasons, I asked him a question like, "Why are you using jackfruit?" He said that 90% or 95% of jackfruit in India is wasted, right? Because you have these giant jackfruits, they fall on the ground, and nobody's really interested in eating it. I think jackfruit is a very popular dish in South India, in like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, those kind of places. So it's a regional fruit which he's now trying to incorporate into recipes that he can sell across the country, and probably recipes that he can sell across the world. He's gotten a lot of interest from healthy food, meat alternative venture funds around the world who want to invest in him, right? Because so then this is something that he can export as well. So it goes back to that whole wastage of vegetables and fruits and stuff like that. Like jackfruit is one of the ones that's wasted the most. What else is wasted a lot? What else can you then process and make it into a higher level, which you can sell with much higher gross margins? Food processing has very high gross margins because the raw material is so cheap.
Yeah. What I find funny about this, this comment that of yours is we've practically spoken about all the other brands and sort of promoted them because we're speaking about them with their brand names and stuff. But when it came to your friend's brand, you decided to not name it at all, which is sad for your friend. But I know the brand that he's talking about. Eat with Better. Go check out their products. I really like them. I like the jackfruit stuff that they've made. Pretty interesting.
They have ready to eat jackfruit, they have ready to eat meals, which Siddharth you said will not work, but I'm hoping it does. And there's some of their jackfruit stuff is really good. The malai kari jackfruit, I'm a big fan of. You should try it out.
I'm just going to clarify. I think anything related to food, if done right, can work in India. It's just the segment may not be as large, right? That was
Mm.
my only comment. If you want to build a large brand, and especially from a perishability perspective, maybe snacks are easier than the ready to eat because the perishability becomes a concern when it comes to ready to eat. Okay, now one of my favorite ways to looking at a market or an interesting opportunity is the infrastructure play, right? Like I absolutely love the fact that once an industry is growing, there are going to be some unsexy infrastructure businesses that are just going to grow along with it and which will generally have higher barriers to entry. One of those companies is called Anka Summor, ANKASUMMOR. Now, what they do, they're funded by Fireside, which is, I think, a brilliant strategy by Fireside to fund this company, is because they are the company that helps these emerging brands get into supermarkets. If you've heard the episode that we did with Jiru or the other, consumer goods that we've spoken about,
Even
getting
Soulful Foods talked
even
about this.
Soulful Food spoke about this. Getting into supermarkets is extremely difficult, right? Getting shelf space is extremely difficult. It's extremely expensive. You have to negotiate with
They have a
these
listing
brands.
fee.
They have a
They have a
listing
listing
fee.
fee.
Exactly. They have a listing free. You need to get to the right category manager. You need to convince them. There's a lot of like bandwidth of a founder that goes into figuring out this distribution. What Anka some more does is it's plug and play, right? And an emerging brand can go to them and say that, hey, I want to be listed in certain supermarkets and stuff like that. Anka some more already has existing relationships, probably already has existing contracts, and they have shelf space that they pay. I'm just guessing their business model right now, they shelf space that they pay on a regular basis, or they have a discounted rate, and they can keep sort of rotating brands and see what works, and something that works
Oh
can
wow.
then sort of push harder and do the experimentation there. Because when you are starting out, you don't even know if this is going to be picked up in a store, right? And the other services that these guys can provide is they can have a team of people that are planted at these supermarkets for tastes and trials. Everybody who's gone to supermarkets have probably seen newer brands doing taste trials and stuff like that. Some a brand whose core focus is on manufacturing and marketing this product and getting the recipe right, this whole distribution aspect of it and doing tasting and getting the product picked up is a lot of hassle. So they've made it
Yes.
plug and play, right? They do about 9 crores in turnover. Again, I would bet on this company, right? I haven't seen anything any competitor that's been funded. They've been funded by Fireside. I think they raised about 13 crores 2021 October 2021. So I think that's a very interesting play. um, Thoughts on
In
this?
fact, I have so many thoughts on this, but the first thing that comes to my mind, first of all, is that all the consumer brand startups that we've spoken to, the founders that we've spoken to, first of all, they speak about listing fee, right? So listing fees can be very expensive. You have to give listing fee per store that you want to list in all of these modern retail. So if that takes it out, okay, that's a huge thing. But the second thing is also collections. Collections from Indian companies on average is terrible. So, right, can Anka Samod take out that collection part of it? Because Anchor Mode, I guess, is going to do it for a bunch of brands. And I guess if a bunch of brands stop sending their products to the supermarket, then maybe they have some more negotiating leverage, and therefore they get their money faster, and therefore maybe the brands also get their money faster. I don't know, but that's the second thing that comes to my mind.
Very important point, right? The fact remains, if you're a young brand negotiating with the big bazaars of the world, that doesn't exist anymore, I'm sorry, but other supermarkets that still exist, if you're
Food
negotiating
hall.
with them, food hall, or also doesn't exist, right? Because it was under the big bazaar brand. I don't know, it was the same family. I don't know if
Oh
it
yeah,
exists or not.
Biryani's. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
don't know if it
I
exists or
don't.
not.
That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. um, that's an interesting opportunity, the whole gourmet store. I have a few thoughts on that. We'll get to it at the end. But
No, because even Nature's Basket sold to Goenka.
exactly, right. So this whole gourmet store, I don't think it flew as they were expecting, which tells you that you can't really build these large physical spaces catering to an India one alpha, right? Going into a food hall, like you had to feel that you needed a lot of money to enter that place, right? Because anything
Yeah.
that you picked up is going to be super expensive there. One last brand that I want to mention is Open Secret. And the reason why I want to mention this is, like all the Marwadis out there, I don't know a Marwadi who's not obsessed with bhujia. Uh, Open Secret recently launched a healthy bhujia uh, product. I haven't tried it. I'm trying to stay off bhujia because I know it's a healthier than, it's a better than, it's not a healthy product at the end of the day. But healthier bhujia is coming back to that point of, can you go back to food that we were already consuming, regional foods that we were already consuming, and make healthier alternatives out of it, right? The banana chips in Kerala, or the wafers that come from Gujarat, the Balaji wafers that come from Gujarat, and so many other regional foods. Can you make healthier alternatives of these namkeens, or sweet dishes and whatnot? I think that's yeah, I mean, like the opportunities are endless, right? $30 billion industry, growing very fast. The export opportunities are there, the infrastructure
Yeah.
plays there. There are multiple niche businesses that you can build, probably profitable. There is play for venture capital to come in. It's one of those segments that's ripe for disruption.
Dude, banana chips are my, like, you can give me banana chips anytime, and I love them so much.